Now, every year, Ukraine marks its Independence Day on the 24th of August, celebrating Ukraine's declaration of independence from the Soviet Union. The day is generally celebrated with some grand parades and other activities, but this year, the scenes are very different. Interestingly, this year, the 24th of August will also mark the completion of 6 months of the ongoing war. And as the country prepares to mark the grim milestone, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned people across the country that Russia could be preparing for fresh attacks to fulfill its goals. This is because the Russian President Vladimir Putin's hopes of a swift victory in Ukraine have not come true. Although Moscow's aim was to capture the Ukrainian capital Kiev, which failed in the initial days of the battle, it has made some pretty impressive territorial gains in the east and also in the south. With no peace talks in sight, the conflict has now reached a state of complete impasse. So the big question, of course, is what all has changed in the last 6 months. Now, the ramifications of the war are very clear. The war is not confined to the geographical territory of Ukraine alone. It has spread well beyond the borders, with effects impacting the entire world, from inflation that has galloped through the roof to food insecurity that has made large parts of Middle East and Africa become food insecure. The conflict has also triggered a big crisis in Europe. Firstly, the crisis of refugees. This is the biggest refugee crisis since the end of the Second World War. And according to the UNHCR, nearly about 6.6 million people, a majority of them women and children, have fled from Ukraine since the beginning of the war. Now, Putin's declaration of Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics as independent region on the 21st of February was just a pretext to the ongoing war. However, Putin's official announcement of the invasion on the 24th of February changed the game altogether. The shock of those first hours of the war, when the unthinkable became a reality, is a moment that is likely to stay with every Ukrainian for the rest of their lives. In the chaotic first few days, the events moved incredibly fast. From checkpoints to the sounds of sirens, all became a new reality with which Ukraine has lived with for the last 6 months. The horror dealt to the cities of Mariupol, Bucha and Odessa is there for everyone to see. Now, thousands of people were left trapped for days as Russia continued to relentlessly shell these cities in a bid to capture them. The stories of people taking shelter in damp, freezing basements, facing starvation and illness, are reminiscent of the Second World War. Now, the United States and other Western nations, meanwhile, have recalibrated their relations with Russia. From economic sanctions to travel bans, countries have resorted to various means to isolate Russia globally. The war in Ukraine has also become a test ground for Western weapons. Many countries have provided advanced ammunition and war artillery to Ukraine to help them fight the Russian troops. The billions of dollars worth of military aid has also reached Kiev since the onset of the war. The latest is a new military aid from Washington. The United States has now cleared the way for yet another aid package that is said to be worth almost $775 million. The package includes surveillance drones, mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles and also high-precision missiles. The estimates suggest that the United States alone has poured in over $10.6 billion worth of military aid to Ukraine since the beginning of the war. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.